is Maria, and my class, Creative Young Artists, emphasizes brainstorming and thinking outside of the box. Imaginations are one of the most important tools available to young child artists, and my class explores those aspects of their imagination and encourages them while emphasizing positive reinforcement-based critique that will help them explore and improve the technical aspects of their drawing skill alongside with their imaginative work. Each class begins with a 20 to 30 minute demo that explores the technical aspect of one thing that a student is interested in drawing. Usually, after that demo, we spend some time exploring fantastical or imaginative aspects that can be tied to that and really bring the child's own unique perspective into the drawing. Each class is broken up with various critiques, games, small breaks, just to keep the kids on their feet and engaged if they have a shorter attention span. For today's demo, we're going to be drawing cats and some different fantastical elements that we'd like to add to our own imaginative pet cats. Let's get started. All right, so this class is pretty flexible. As long as you have something to draw with and color with, you are all set. The materials that I like to use are watercolor materials because I really like painting with watercolors. So if you would like to follow along with the watercolors I like to use, you will need some water, usually in a little vase or jar. You will need a paintbrush. The best paintbrushes will come to a point when they're damp but not wet. So if I take my dry paintbrush and I get it damp, I can see that it comes to a point. But you don't have to have an expert paintbrush. Any paintbrush will work. I always have plenty of paper towels so that I can wipe off the water and paint as needed, and it stops my paint from getting muddy. And then sometimes I like using a pipette, which allows me to put water on my palette quickly and to get my paint wet, but that's not required at all. And then you'll need a paint palette. And mine is kind of a mess because I've been using it for a very long time, but I have a bunch of colors here. You can use any paint palette you want. It does not have to be the same. And I also like using a pencil. Any pencil is completely fine. I recommend not using the eraser too much. If you're someone who tends to rely on using an eraser, maybe pick a pencil that doesn't have much of an eraser left, and it'll force you to draw a little bit more carefully and to stop thinking about redoing things and maybe just continuing on, because you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself. And I would much rather see something that I can help you with than something that's been erased a bunch of times and looks, perfect or isn't there, because I'm here to help you. So today we're going to talk about painting cats. And I know a lot of you guys really, really like cats, so I wanted to make sure we did several lessons on them. And cats are really hard to draw, right? Because they're super graceful and they move in a lot of weird ways and they're always jumping, and unless they're sleeping, it's hard to get them to stand still. So let's do our own cats and let's think about what sort of cat we would want to have if we could have any cat in the world. And this doesn't have to be like a special breed of cat. This can be any kind of cat. So think about, like, would you want your cat to be a normal cat color, or would you want your cat to be purple? Because if I could choose, I would probably pick a purple cat because purple is my favorite color. So I'm going to mix up my favorite color and I'm going to do like a reddish purple because burgundy is my favorite color. And you can mix up whatever color you want. If you think you would most like a cat that's a normal cat color, you can do that. If you want your cat to be blue with stripes, you can do that. I'm going to start painting my cat. So we're going to paint a couple different cat poses, and you can choose which one you want. Mostly cats can be made up out of bean shapes because cats are very soft. They've got their little toe beans. They've got like very graceful curved forms. So we're going to start by drawing a circle for our first cat, because cat heads are pretty round. And I can see a little bit of my cat's snout coming off the bottom, so I can draw that. And then as I draw the cat's neck, I'm going to draw a bean shape for the rest of the cat. So we remember bean shapes. Most animals can be made up of bean shapes, moving either one way or another, and cats are no exception. So we're going to move a bean shape curved in this direction. And I bet some of you can already guess what kind of cat pose we're going to be doing based on the shape. So we're going to do this bean shape for a cat, and I'll give you a second to catch up. And as we do the bean shape, I want to make sure that the cat's legs are in here. So I'm going to switch to a pencil for a moment because as I'm painting, I want to make sure that you guys can follow along. And you can follow along with paint or colored pencil, but I think if we draw one off to the side in pencil, it's going to be a little easier for you to understand the makeup, and then I can go through after and paint it in for you. So we see this bean shape for the cat, and cats have a couple things that are not bean shaped. For example, they have ears. Now I know a lot of you guys like to do the ears directly on the top, but notice if you look at a cat how wide apart the cat's ears are. Cats don't have little pointy triangle ears like this. They have pretty wide ears like that. So I'm gonna go ahead, and there's not a lot of space between the cat's ears, but as I pull this off, the cat's ears are gonna come around and they're gonna be pretty wide. And notice that I'm making the ears kind of big. It's because my cat is gonna be a kitten, because if I could choose any cat, I would choose a cat that's a permanent kitten. So remember, we've talked about this a little bit before with baby animals. When you have a baby animal, usually the ears of the baby animal are bigger and the nose is smaller and the eyes are also bigger. So if you want something to look really cute, you can make it have baby-like features. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw out a tiny line down the middle. That's gonna be my center line. I wanna make sure that the eyes are on either side. And for the eye shape, I'm going to do a very soft triangle at the top, like this. But then I'm going to do a curved shape, like the bottom of a circle on the bottom. Remember, cats have like weird looking pupils. They've got these pupils that look a little bit like teardrops, but they're pointed on both sides. When cats' pupils get big, like when they're hunting or when they're looking in the dark, they can also be round. So it's up to you what kind of pupils your cat would have. How does your cat feel right now? My cat is kind of neutral. I guess they're sitting in a light area. I'm gonna go ahead and at the corners of the eye, make two lines that pull into a triangle, and that's gonna be my little cat's nose. And then you can do two lines. I'm gonna make my cat happy, so she's smiling. So if you draw from the nose two lines that are going straight down, your cat is gonna be grumpy. But if you pull those lines apart and curve them up, you can make your cat happy, and it's up to you what expression your cat would have. Some cats have like some floof on the sides of their head like this. Some cats have just round faces. I'm gonna give my cat, like I said, I'm gonna make a kitten, so I'm gonna give them a little chin. And once we have these basics down, we're going to draw in the arms. So I'm gonna go ahead and from the shoulder, from the top of the bean, I'm gonna draw an oval, and then I'm going to draw a teardrop shape that's kind of curved like this. And notice that as long as I have this curve in here, instead of a straight line, it's going to make the cat look graceful, and I can put like a little toe bean at the bottom because cats are very graceful creatures and they don't have a lot of stiff straight lines. Most of their lines are going to be curved. So I'm gonna go ahead and on the back, I'm gonna do another oval like this. Notice that my oval is also not a straight up and down line. My oval is at an angle. Everything about cats is pretty graceful. So we're gonna be doing some curved angles here. And then it's up to you what you wanna do with the tail. The tail can continue like this. It can continue straight up. It can move around the tail. Can move around the body and come up like this. As long as the tail does not have like any sharp edges or angles to it, because otherwise the tail will look broken. If you have a curved line for a tail, you can make it pretty much wherever you want because a cat's tail moves a lot. So we'll go ahead and pick wherever we want it, or we can have a three-tailed cat. Why not? This is our sort of dream fantasy cat. And then as we continue to draw, think about what you might like your fantasy cat to have. Like, don't stop at just the normal cat stuff. For example, I might want my cat to have wings. I think that would be really, really fun. I'm gonna go ahead and start painting in now that we've done the demo. And usually to anyone watching this, we spend a little more time on the demo because there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of suggestions to repeat myself and to go over stuff again, which I am always, always happy to do. I always prefer somebody interrupts me and asks me to show them something again than have them feel lost. Because demos aren't supposed to make you feel bad. They're supposed to make you understand something. So ask whatever questions you need in my class so that you can better understand something. That is my number one priority. But we're gonna go kind of quickly since there's no one here to ask me questions right now. And as we move forward, I'm just gonna kind of paint this in. I like the idea of a three-tailed cat. I'm gonna go ahead and give my cat some extra tails. So make sure that your cat's paws are thinner on the bottom than they are at the top. If you make a cat's paws that are basically like the same size from top to bottom, like this, they might read as paws, but they're gonna look a lot more dainty and more realistic if they have a slight curve to them and they get smaller. So this one, not this one. And I'm gonna go ahead and add the ears. I'm gonna add those big kitten ears. Maybe they're not super big in this one. Figure out where I want my eyes. I might just paint around the eyes and then have light purple eyes. That sounds fun. I like the idea of giving them like some tufts. You can also give them some whiskers around their nose. Think about what's fun for your cat. Is your cat secretly a superhero? Would they have a superhero mask and fight crime with you? Does your cat turn invisible? You could put like some dotted lines around it, or you could give it some other special abilities like maybe a super jump. So maybe they have like an extra pair of legs or something. Think about what you would like for your cat. My cat has 2 tails. And in a second, oh, I guess one is shorter than the other. That's okay, that could be kind of cute. In a second, I'm gonna give a cat wings because I really like winged cats. I think that's really fun. I know a bunch of my students like doing cats with wings too. So one thing about wings is that you have the ball of the wing, that's the big muscle, and usually that attaches to the shoulder of the animal. So the wing always needs to come out of here, and then the wings go back and then forward. So when the cat's wings are folded, they can come up like this basically, and you end up seeing, you know, the wing folded along their back like this. But when the cat's wings are outstretched, it still has a little bit of that curve like this. That's what the muscle or the bone is gonna look like. But it's gonna have feathers, or if it has bat-like wings, it'll have skin over this area. And then over here, we're going to see either bat-like wings, or we're going to see a steady blanket of feathers where we see, you know, like some thick feathers over here. And the farther we go out, the more the feathers are going to separate, because these are down feathers that are designed to keep the cat warm. And then these over here at the end are flight feathers, which are designed to like have the wind pass through them so that they can control the direction the cat is going in. So we'll go through and let's see. Oh gosh, I gotta figure out what kind of cat wings. Such a huge decision. Okay, I'm gonna do some little bat wings. I think that would be really cute. Plus bats and cats both make me think of Halloween. I'm gonna do really little wings. I think technically, if this was an anatomically correct animal, you would not be able to fly with wings this small, but maybe the cat just flaps them really fast. And you know what? This is a fantasy cat. Who cares? Okay, so I hope everyone is having fun with their own cats, and I want to make sure that everyone is doing their own ideas. And if you like some of my ideas, it's okay to copy me for some things, but I want to make sure that you use your own ideas for most of these, because your ideas are what make your drawings unique, and that's really what art is about. You guys are learning to be better artists by thinking of your own ideas. Now, if you have any questions, I totally understand if you want to interrupt me and ask. If you really want your robot to have laser eyes, but you're not sure how to do a robot laser eye cat, you can always ask me and I can pause and maybe my cat can have robot laser eyes so that I can show you. But don't ever not do something because you're just not sure how to draw it, because that's no fun. Then you don't get to do the stuff you're really interested in. So I'm gonna go through and maybe I'll give my cat like some blue features. I'm gonna do like a blue little nose and a blue little happy mouth. All right, let's go ahead and finish up this cat. The cat's looking over here. And as we finish up the cat, I would like you to think about the cat's expression and how they feel about what they're in or around or near. Because after this, we're gonna start adding on some other things for our cat and figuring out what sort of environment they're in. So for example, my cat looks pretty happy. I know cats like being up in high places, but since my cat has wings, I think my cat is even more of a daredevil. My cat is gonna be like a very daring, high climbing cat. So I'm gonna put my cat up somewhere really high. And think about where you would like your cat to be. For example, if your cat is really happy and looking off to the side, maybe instead of a cat being happy that they're high up, maybe they're happy to see their owner and you put yourself in there because this is our imaginary cat. Maybe your cat is angry and you could draw the cat's arch nemesis. So this is where we're going to get really inventive, and if you have any questions, feel free to call out and we'll go over how to draw something. I'm going to pick up a bunch of colors. I'm going to make some browns, and I'm going to do like maybe part of a mountain. Oh gosh, that was a lot of black. Okay. Go ahead and do a mountain here. Now notice that if this is where the cat is sitting, you're not going to see a lot of what is on top of the rest of the mountain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw over here and have us looking down a little bit at the cat so that we can draw some of what's on the top of that mountain and the cat isn't just sort of like sitting on something that's 2D. So as I move it back, if you want to draw a mountain, you just draw something that's horizontal and then you draw some vertical lines. And you just want to make sure that instead of one line, because the edge of the mountain isn't usually completely flat, we move things out and draw a bunch of different vertical lines as we continue on. And there are a couple other places where I'm going to place vertical lines just to show that the mountain has some texture to it. Right. And at some point maybe I'll go through and I'll start coloring this in, but not right now, and I don't think we need to do that for the demo quite yet. I'll go ahead and add in maybe some grass. Oh, you can hear my cat in the background. Gee, I wonder where I thought of that cat theme, huh? All right. So I'm mixing up some of my own greens because I like to think of my own green colors so that I have a little more control over them instead of just getting green directly from my paint set. So remember, what colors make blue and, what color makes green? They've given away the answer. Blue and yellow are the colors that make green. So we're gonna mix together some blue and yellow. I'm gonna pick a warm green. That means that I added a lot more yellow than I did blue because I want this green to feel a little mossy and friendly, because even though we're high up, this cat is pretty happy. This is a safe place. I want this to feel like a friendly green shade. All right. I'm going to go ahead and add this in. And usually when I have students in my class, I'm asking them what their ideas are. We're sort of brainstorming together. We're thinking of all the cool things a cat could have in their illustration or environment. I'll just go through and fill this in. And usually at this point, I'll go around and I'll see everyone's work, and maybe we'll give a little bit of instruction. Usually I start with a really positive critique, so I say something I really, really like about the drawing or the painting or whatever medium you're working with. So I'll say, I love how you shaded in the cat's wings, and then I can see a light and a shadow shade, because that's something that's very advanced that a couple of my students do. And I'm always so impressed by that. And then usually I try and offer one bit of encouragement or bit of suggestion for change. So maybe I'll say, I love the way you did the leg, but if the leg is a circle and not a square, the cat is going to look a little bit more graceful. So for example, if your foot looks like that, I might change it to something that looks like that. And usually when I do this, I just have them show me, I screenshot it with my iPad, and then I draw over it. And we'll just continue working on this cat for the rest of the demo. And usually the demo is just based on however long it takes everyone else to work on the cat. And when people start to get bored, we might switch to a game. If it's been an hour, we might switch to break. usually after about an hour, we have a 5-minute break so that everybody can roll their necks and their backs and get all stretched out and step out of their chair and walk around so they don't get antsy. They can get a snack, they can use the bathroom. But since we have a scheduled break time, we don't ask to leave class in between those times that are not break time. Unless something's really important, of course. If there's something very urgent, you can of course leave. But usually we try and stay in class the rest of the time. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and continue playing with this cat. Maybe I'll color in the rest of the mountain, and then I like seeing everyone else's work. We talk about cats a little bit, and then usually we'll work on a second project. And the second project is often related to the first project, but not necessarily the same thing. So for example, if we were drawing cats and we did a fantasy cat, if you really like drawing your cat, you can spend the whole 2 hours on your cat. But if your attention span maybe isn't quite there yet, you can do something else that is maybe feline related. So maybe we could try doing some lions instead, or we could make up a Pokemon that's based on a cat. Or we could start drawing other cats and do an entire cat scene. Or we could do dogs next to the cat or other animals. Maybe there are a bunch of animals with this cat and we don't just want to draw cats today. It's pretty loose. I try and integrate some sort of technical level of instruction, like drawing the cat with basic shapes. And then I'll do the rest of the critique and have a little bit of technical based stuff based on what other students are doing. But a lot of this is really imagination focused and praising students for their imaginations and for thinking outside of the box and thinking of really interesting ways to draw their own cat or their own thing if they really don't want to draw cats, if they think of something else. And that's most of class. It's mostly watercolor demos and looking at other people's work and just chatting, talking about cats and other things we like and don't like, and maybe some art games. There you go. That's it for the demo. Contact Ming Creative Art to sign up. Bye.